right, welcome back, traders. Hopefully, you had a wonderful weekend. We definitely experiencing some pretty amazing price action here from Bitcoin, continuing to make new all-time highs. So we're going to cover it. Okay. First thing we're going to look at is tether dominance here in a breakdown. I would be targeting the 4% to 3.82% region. I think if and when we do break this low is when we're going to get a full-on alt season, okay? That is when that will happen. Everyone's like, when alt season? I think that's when we get that initiation for alt season, okay? We're already starting to see alt wake up, right? H-bar doing a 30% move, Algorand doing a big move, XRP breaking out of its pennant, ETH starting to show some strength, right? So, Solana also trying to rally here. I would say ETH is looking better than Solana if you look at the ratios, but Bitcoin is obviously the leader. We all know this. So what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin is if we do just see parabolic move, I'm looking at this $140,000 region. That is our next major fib extension. By the way, can you guys hear me? That is the next question. Okay, you guys can. Okay, cool. So 140K is what I'm looking at right now. This is the golden mean ratio for Bitcoin. I think once we get there, or if we stop somewhere in between there, maybe like 125K, usually we don't just get straight to the fib extension. We'll probably pause somewhere in the middle before a pullback. And so we might do something like this and then come back down, retest, 108, and then blow through it type of thing. Something like that. That wouldn't surprise me. But we do have high time frame momentum to continue this rally. Okay. You guys can see the wave trend here. We haven't clipped yet. We got some nice separation here on the momentum. We are starting to show some signs of divergence, but you can see we have room to run into this trend line still. Okay, on the weekly time frame. In our monthly chart, our monthly chart is like really already way up there. Okay, but the thing that is really telling us that we have momentum driving here is the monthly stochastic RSI giving us that cross up. Okay, that is very strong to see. Okay, this could end up resolving itself at least to this trend line, or maybe even break through it. We're going to find out here in the coming months. But to me, this looks like there's plenty of momentum here on the monthly time frame for this to go higher. And in terms of, are we at the top of the market? Well, I think we got room up into the 80 regions here on the RSI. Okay, Bitcoin usually tops somewhere in this. I mean, previous cycles around in the 90 range, but you can see this slant sort of coming down. So to me, it looks like we'll probably end up breaking this 77 region. We'll get that breakthrough into 85, and that'll probably be our top. Okay. So until we start doing stuff like that, I think we got a little bit of time here. And so that's kind of my thinking, all right, about when Bitcoin's going to top out. All right. We are coming into the bands here, but we haven't broke it yet on the monthly chart. So once we start breaking it and we start getting outside type of band movement like that, I think that's when we actually top out. So we're getting there. I would say we're probably getting pretty close to getting to those regions, but that doesn't mean we can't like get to, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe this $200,000 region. Okay, in theory, we have room all the way to run somewhere up against this trend line. Okay, now I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the linear scale chart. Okay, that we actually broke the linear scale resistance. All right, now I typically like to look at log scale because Bitcoin makes these parabolic type movements, and so I think that I'm going to just continue charting the way I've been. On log scale, because it hasn't really failed me just yet. So, but yeah, we're definitely getting to those areas on Bitcoin where it's becoming extended, overbought, etc. But this monthly momentum is suggesting otherwise, I will say. If the monthly momentum was up here and we were sitting at, this 120K region, I'd be like, okay, guys, we don't really have much momentum left. But here, this is telling us something completely different. This is saying we have lots of momentum coming. And the 3-week here is ticked up. The 2-week here is ticked up. It's all ticked up on the high time frame, okay? Now, I'm not sitting here telling you guys that we're not going to see drawdowns or pullbacks or whatever. We are. We're going to see all of that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, price discovery looking pretty solid here on the weekly close. A bullish engulfing candle, the highest weekly candle close we've ever seen on Bitcoin. Nothing bad to say about this candle. There's no long wick or rejection wick or something that would tell me otherwise that this isn't extremely bullish to see. Very, very nice price action. All right. So we'll look at Tether. I think I already kind of gave you guys my analysis on that, but weekly bearish engulfing candle. We took out these wicks, so that's important. All right. Now we're in the middle of this range. You can see that we're just making lower highs. So eventually what happens is we should be making lower lows. All right. If we're in a downtrend, we should start to see lower lows come in. And what we're really wanting to see, and like I said before, is we're really wanting to see this low break. And I think if and when we do that, I think this is when we start an explosive altcoin run rally, and this is probably the last phase of the market cycle when we initiate the alt season. Okay, and we'll look at Bitcoin dominance because that's pretty crucial and critical. We did put a weekly bearish engulfing candle in. We have yet to make new lows or make lower lows on Bitcoin dominance. So unfortunately, nothing really to talk about there until we start really doing that in terms of the alt season starting. But I think once we do start taking out this 62% region and we flip this super trend on the weekly, I think that's when we're going to really start to see fireworks in the altcoin market. All right. And everything here on the high time frame is actually pointing down, right? You have 2-week bearish divergence on your stochastic RSI. You have 3-week bearish divergence on your stochastic RSI. Your monthly is up here, and if the weekly, 2-week, and 3-week start to roll over, your monthly is going to then cross down. And this is the highest RSI on the monthly chart that Bitcoin dominance has ever seen. So risk to reward wise, you have the greatest reward potential in the altcoin market right now, given we get this alt season. Okay, that's what this chart is saying. All right, and I think that's something that everyone's been waiting. Lots of people have been waiting for. All right, and so I think that once this starts to roll over, guys, we're going to see fireworks in the altcoin market. All right, looks like we're almost there. We're probably like a month or two out from that. Looks like. All right, maybe a few weeks out. All right, so hang tight. This is gonna start rolling over. It's already starting to roll over here on the weekly chart. So just stay patient. That's it. Stay patient. There's not much we can really do other than stay patient. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah, we can look at ETH Bitcoin, right? We talked about this back here. This bottom that we put in here in April. And yeah, I mean, it's a very clear range that ETH Bitcoin chart is in. We have some long tail wicks that go outside this range, but you can clearly see that this is the range. Okay. So if we're just trading the range, we're not trading a breakout of the range. Let's just trade from bottom of the range to top of the range. So from bottom of this range to the top of this range where we're at right now is about a 240% move against Bitcoin. Okay, that puts us somewhere around the 8% ETH BTC ratio. That's pretty significant. Okay. I'd suspect that can happen very rapidly once we go into this alt run. And if you really pay attention, look at this volume, how it's completely receded down here. Okay. Ethereum looks like it's about to get a serious amount of volume. Okay. And it's very close to getting that break. All right. And that's what we're waiting for, kind of talking about. All right. And that's basically it. Let's look at the dollar index here. I suspect nothing good out of the dollar index. Where would that put the ETH price? We can look at the US dollar value of it. So again, you got a range here. It's a very clear trading range. You break this trading range here. It's about a, let's see, how did I have this plotted? All right, yeah, this looks like range deviation. And I guess this is more so the bottom of this range. Okay. So yeah, so top of the range to the bottom of the range is about a 3x. So once we start taking this out, it's about 300%. And you figure maybe it does about half that move. So that puts you around, 8 to 10K region on ETH. I think that those are conservative targets. I think that those are possible to have happen. And if we fib it, you could see that, yeah, 7,000 is your first major fib extension. And then your golden mean ratio is right around 12K. And the golden mean ratio would kind of line up for, Bitcoin going to 140,000, which I think is probable, or basically right there. So if ETH follows Bitcoin's moves in terms of its Fibonacci levels, and let's just say Bitcoin ends up just sitting up there between 120 and 140 until the alts catch up before Bitcoin makes its last move, we could see, that type of movement happen on ETH. Okay. Remember, it's slow. It starts slow, and then it's all at once when you're going to the last phase of this market cycle. So it's been boring for a number of years, and then all of a sudden it's just going to go wham, and then that's going to be it. It's just going to happen really fast, just like it did here. Happen really fast. So it'll just happen really fast. It looks like we're like kind of in this region right here before we got this. So it looks like it's going to do something like that. And if you look at the monthly, okay, you got that momentum on your side, like a major swing, right? It just crossed up. It's just now basically giving you a monthly signal. All right. So you got major momentum coming into ETH. That's what that momentum is telling me. All right. We even have the monthly green dot here on the wave trend. I mean, how much more clear do you want this to be, guys? It's literally telling you, hey guys, we're about to rip pretty hard. Buckle your seatbelts. You're in for a ride. This is the best part of the cycle, guys. This last part of the cycle is the best part. This is where you make all your money. Straight up. This is where it happens. All right. So stay chill, stay cool. There's going to be some pullbacks and some consolidations and some chilling you're going to need to do. Continue the patience, guys. All right. Don't do anything dramatic with your portfolios right now. Dollar cost averaging into altcoins right now is probably the play, not financial advice. If ETH starts to really outperform Bitcoin, you know what's to come. It's Ethereum running, then it's rotation into major L1s, then it's rotation into big caps, then it's rotation into smaller caps, okay? That's how it goes. Nothing has changed in my opinion. It's just been a longer, drawn-out cycle because interest rates are high and the ISM is still in a bear market. So everything's just been really slow, aside from Bitcoin. And that's because Bitcoin sucks up liquidity because of the M2, right? Bitcoin just follows M2 and money printing. It just sucks it up. Altcoins, different ballgame. They're a lot more speculative. ETH, on the other hand, I wouldn't say is as speculative, of course, because it's basically banking infrastructure, and I think that is going to be adopted this cycle. I do think that that's happening. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns about the analysis? We can also look at the rainbow chart to get an idea. This is still saying accumulate. So we're probably not close to the top yet based on what this is stating. And yeah, we could just get into this yellow zone, by September, October, somewhere in there. We could be looking at a $250,000 Bitcoin. That I think that's a possibility. Okay. We will see how it plays out. What I wanted to also look at was the altcoin season index chart. That's why I came on here. All right, so altcoin season index. Let's zoom out on this thing. It's wrecked. It's absolutely wrecked on the year. If we go to the month, you can start to see it starting to tick up here on the month. Now, this metric is basically if 75% of the top 50 altcoins performed better than Bitcoin over the last 30 days. Okay, so this isn't every altcoin. It's just the top 50. Okay, and yeah, you can start to see that we came out of this bottom and we're going to start to rip. And once we get into this 75 region, it is going to be the time to de-risk that stuff. Okay, yeah, you get these blow-off moves into 80s, 90s, but like start getting out of them. Like, why stay in them? All right, we got some time. A couple months, it looks like a couple months we got. All right. Cool. I would say let's take a look at the stock market here. So the S&P is down 1/3%. And the weekly here, I mean, not really the worst candle in the world. I mean, okay, we got a bit of a pullback candle last week. Okay, so yeah, we are losing like weekly momentum here. You can see this crossing down. All right, so we could start to see a bit of a drawdown here on the S&P, but it's probably just going to be a nice consolidation, like downwards. Okay, and this is probably just going to come down to retest before we actually go higher, is what I think. Gold and silver, sure. We'll take a look at them, dude. So gold here. Nope, no buy signal on gold, but yeah, in the oversold territory here. 2-week time frame is coming down a bit. All right, 3-week. Also getting that cross, the monthly. So you got a bit of divergence, a little bit on the monthly here. It's all going to depend on if this weekly ends up crossing up. Okay, you got a 3-day signal cross. All right, so you know what? If gold just sitting up here, it's still really obviously very strong, right? It hasn't made any lows or anything. You got a nice little flag pattern here. I would call that a pennant. Looks pretty good. Looks like it's trying to set up to go higher. If you look at your 3-day momentum here, it looks extremely bullish still. So gold's still looking pretty strong from a high time frame perspective. Your monthly here, we got very overbought white candles. Nothing stopping it aside from just being extremely overbought. All right, you're at 86 on the RSI. It's not something that I'd be like, hey man, you should long this thing. Probably not. Does it mean it can't? It doesn't mean that it won't go higher. No, it totally can go higher. All right, because it's got some of that momentum on its side. All right, but you are already crossing past the 200% retracement. So this could be setting something up here, letting us know what Bitcoin might do, okay? Bitcoin's only in the middle of its 1414 and 1618 in terms of comparing Fibonacci levels here, okay? The 1618 for Bitcoin was around 140K. So gold is already at its 200% retracement level, all right? It's possible, if this momentum continues, that we could see $3,750 or even $4,000 gold. Okay, that's possible. All right. The last time your 6-month candles started to go white was back in 2007, and you got like a major run up. So we could be emulating something just like that right now. These run ups don't happen very often for gold, and when they do, they're extremely explosive because when they reprice metals, that means they're basically repricing essentially inflation, right, for the years to come. All right, so we'll take a look at silver. Silver obviously way behind gold. And silver on the 6-month chart here in a breakout super trend flip long. I think silver is actually setting up for a pretty big move. I had something around the $200 region for silver. That could take some time though, right? Yeah. Cool. The other one that I was really extremely bullish on was actually platinum, lagging behind all of it, but to me is better risk to reward in terms of like maybe actually owning it or even swing trading it. Okay. Beautiful channel structure, breakout, kind of exactly following what it did here and after the 2000 bubble, and then just massive move for 7 years until the 2008 crash. So it's also looking very good here for platinum. 6-month breakout here on the squeeze indicator. That's setting up for multiple years of upside is what that's telling you. NQ, yeah, we'll look at NQ. Well, we kind of looked at the S&P. It's basically the same thing, man. Here, okay, we'll look at it though. All right, NQ, yeah, coming up to like this major trend line here. Kind of the same story, right? Weekly momentum kind of rolling over here a little bit. No confirmation of a sell signal, but you can start to see the early sells coming here for the stock market, right? It looks like maybe you're going to get momentum to the downside here on the Nasdaq. At least maybe just a pullback. Okay, I'm not saying that this thing is just going to crash right now, but yeah, we could be looking at something like this, where we retest this breakout. And then maybe we get this move into this trend line here. Okay. So something like that could be in order for the NASDAQ. NVIDIA is basically the NASDAQ. So it's the same kind of thing. Now, NVIDIA breaking its 1618 golden mean ratio. There really isn't anything in terms of fib levels on major timescales up until about $379, but we can actually fib this from this top of this range to the bottom of this range to get in between targets. So like we're in between right now on the break to the first major fib extension from this range break. Yeah, this could be resulting in a pullback here for NVIDIA. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so that 3-day candle, although it didn't close red, you got a nice long-tailed wick there. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see if this actually initiates sell pressure, but we're not clipping yet, just yet on the 3-day, the 2-day. I mean, everything is pretty extended here. You can clearly see that. So, you know, your RSI is already in the moon here, or at 75. Yeah, it looks like it's getting up there on those lower time frames, and you do have a long wick here on NVIDIA. So, you know, something like this over the next couple of days, maybe next couple of weeks, maybe into the end of the month. And then maybe we have like a bullish August or something, and we see 170s to, you know, 190s on NVIDIA going into August. Something like that. All right. So that's basically that. You know, we'll look at strikes. Yeah, and still work to do, man, down here. You know, holding the bottom of the range. It's basically the same analysis I think I've been giving on it. Until it really breaks these ranges, there's not really much to talk about with this asset. Yeah, you really just want to break these ranges here, man. You're in the middle of the range. This thing fucking sucks. Yeah, I mean, you do have that weekly cross up here, so it could take a few weeks for it to actually start to do something. But you really need now to break this down sloping trend line. You can clearly see that it's being respected as resistance for now. But if you do eventually break this, you could be looking at to the top of the range here, and maybe on a real volume break, you could see, you know, this break this to the top of this liquidity zone here around 17 cents. I don't really have any other data to look at, but yeah. I wouldn't say it looks bad. You just need some volume, man. You do have weekly bullish divergence here that's starting to play out. You can start to see this cross back up here on the weekly. This to me looks good. This is implying a major move back up, okay? So hopefully over the next week or two here, you start to see movement on this. You should anyway. All right. Let's look at that copper to gold ratio because that's pretty important to look at. All right, yeah, still down here at the bottom. It looks like we still got some time left of the cycle because of this ratio. All right, this ratio, every single time it tops out against gold, is usually when the markets all top out. Okay, like that's it for the cycle type of thing. Okay, we're not there yet. We got room to run. All right. That's it. Just saddle up, boys. Sit tight. I know it's been boring. I know it's been brutal, especially the altcoin market. And it's just been slow and methodical with Bitcoin even. Like these rallies haven't been like explosive rallies. We've had a couple, but like gone are the days of 2017 where you see Bitcoin just rip out like 40% in one candle and then just sideways for a week and then rip again. Like that stuff is like these institutions kind of are, I would say, controlling or suppressing, but like, yeah, they're controlling these markets in a way for them to kind of keep it so it doesn't get too euphoric too quickly until they want it to. Okay, until they're done like accumulating all these alts now, I would say. All right. And then they're probably just going to let it go. And then retail comes in and buys the top and, rinse and repeat. That's how that goes. All right. Institution aren't hodlers. No, they're market making these markets, though. They're basically creating the spreads is what they're doing. And then these exchanges are manipulating order books to make money, liquidating shorts and longs. So that's basically the gist of it. All this stuff is business, dude. They're just in it to make money. That's all they're doing. OSCR. Yeah, we can look at it. Suggested entry. Ooh, yeah, man. Well, you could try here. I mean, you just hope that it's not going to just engulf that candle and take out the bottom of that range, right? That's, yeah. That's a tough one right here. Yeah, this could be actually probably not a bad place to start looking. I would look at, yeah, okay, so when the daily and the 2-day, so your daily's got the reset, okay? You want to see some consolidation down here, all right? I'd wait for some consolidation down here before looking for an entry. Don't try to catch a falling knife, all right? Because that 2-day is still coming down, that 3-day is still coming down. That means you're going to see some more maybe downside and consolidation towards the bottom of this range. Obviously, this was a range deviation here. You had this major support level hold for quite some time, and then they broke it, and then they broke it back in, and then tried to rally it, failed, right? So I would wait to see where they take this down to is what I would look for. Set some price alerts down here at this 1150 range. And if they really start to take this 1150 range out, then you know that you're probably going to break this range to the downside, and you'll probably do like an ABC down, and maybe you get down to these levels here, and this could be a major level for support. This like $9 level. I don't know if it's going to happen, but just look, just watch and pay attention. You got a lot of, it looks like you had a lot of selling going on here. I don't know what's going on with this stock, but they got downgraded. There you go. So insiders probably, selling the shit. I don't know. Yeah. So just wait for that 2 and 3 day stochastic RSI to start crossing back up is what I would say. Yeah. If you're really bullish on the stock, yeah. All right. Our ISM is still down here at 49, which if it stays down here like this for a long period of time like this, it just means that the altcoin cycle might last longer. But I think what happens is it actually just going to accelerate. If it accelerates, this cycle is going to end quicker. If it goes up slower and methodically and it doesn't print like a 5 basis point upswing in the next month, then yeah, this could last a bit longer than what everybody thinks. All right. This is the indicator here for the alt season, is what I would say. Right. So it's implying right now, just based off these charts, that we're going to print above a 52 probably next month, or maybe, August or something. Okay. And you can see from previous cycles, as soon as we start breaking this 52, that's when we start to get these alt runs. Okay. Just saying. And the same thing is probably true for like the Russell and the small cap stocks. Similar things. So like you can see even the Russell here came into resistance. Okay, the Russell looks like it's going to pull back a bit here on the daily. But like the weekly, I would say looking at the monthly chart, it looks extremely bullish. Like you're just now getting a cross up on the monthly. So you probably got like, 3 to 6 months on the Russell going up here. And if you break that, you're going to price discovery on the Russell. Man, that's good for small caps. So you're going to probably get like a sector rotation, and maybe the Russell can run up into these zones here in the next 3 to 6 months. That's what it's saying to me. Feel free to give me your input. And we got rate cuts coming here in September, and the money printer is definitely going to go burr. So risk on, let's fucking go. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's suggesting, right? So time to make some worthless fiat money. Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of what it says. And, obviously anything is possible to have happen, but the Russell hasn't made a new all-time high since like November of 21, really. I mean, I guess, yeah, so it tagged it up here in November, December. But if you notice in November of 24, that's when the altcoins actually topped out also. So this is tracks pretty close, man, for the altcoins. This was your dip in April. We had that big dip in April. Man, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You want to know when altcoins are going to rip out? Just watch the Russell. Hey guys, I'm sorry. I'll be right back for like 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Some techno. Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically it. I think like the high time frames here are looking pretty good for like altcoins and stuff like that. We're on the brink of major breaks, so I think just the patience game, man. Here's the total three, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. So we're right off the monthly pivot here, bouncing right off bearish control zone. And this is where assets are going to start to pick up steam against Bitcoin. Okay. Once Bitcoin's done its major move here, I think it's the massive rotation. All right. Like probably nothing we've ever seen before because of, again, how high Bitcoin's monthly RSI is. It's never been at these levels in its history. So it's going to be a massive altcoin run, man. That's what this is suggesting. Like, even if Bitcoin dominance remains, in an uptrend, makes a higher low somewhere, like, okay, maybe it comes back down here, all right, and it makes a bounce off this region. My question is like, what happens if it actually breaks this rising wedge down? Either that's like the start of the bear market, but Bitcoin dominance usually goes up in bear markets because what happens is all the money floods back into Bitcoin and the altcoins just get sucked out, right? So, but I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a different metric nowadays because you have stable coins. So what we probably should look at is Bitcoin dominance without stables in it. We can look at that later. But if Bitcoin dominance is going down with assets going up against dollars, and this actually breaks this rising wedge, man, that is going to catalyze a massive alt season, okay, is what that would do. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm here for it. Your monthly super trend is like at the top, okay? This isn't clipped yet, but when that clips, man, we get a massive alt run. All right, circle. Yeah, we can take a look at the circle. Circle. Yeah, I'm looking at like 62% or something. The circle still with the downside move looks like here on the daily, putting in a lower high here. I think circle's overvalued based on its stablecoin issuance right now. You got a gap down here at about $133. Once you start taking out the bottom of this range, I think you're going straight there like a magnet. And that wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay. Yeah, and that lines up with the 50% retracement level. You might even come into the 618 region. You could actually end up making, yeah, the gap is around $140. But what, you could actually end up making, an M shape, right? And an M shape down to like $90. That would actually set you up for much higher prices later on. You get an ABC to the downside. You reset. There's not a lot of data on. That's why I don't like to trade IPOs, man, because you're basically just gambling. This is gambling. I have no data. You have no idea what's going on. Oh, you don't know where this is going to top out either. It just tops out somewhere, and then that's it. M shape. So if you really want to buy circle, this is where you got to remain a little bit of practice a little bit of patience, and watch for where this thing ends up going, and what kind of data we got that it brings out. But to me, right now, this looks like more downside. That's what it looks like. Okay, you could argue that it's range bound here between 173 and 200, but it's flagged. It's bear flagged to the downside. There's talk of Tether doing an IPO. Nice. What's Gabe doing, dude? What do you think? He's sleeping. Nice. Bobby comes in with like 10 minutes left to the stream. All hail Bobby. Cool, man. Yeah. So circle circle down to 140 would make a lot of sense. Right. Daily RSI coming down. You don't have 2-day data. Your 12-hour chart here is basically the same. AMC, yeah. What does AMC look like these days? Okay, so you gapped up on a Friday. That's nice. Yep, double bottom stuff on the weekly. That looks good. Not bad, AMC. Not bad down here. I would argue all of Pulse Chain looks like poop right now, dude. Just saying. Yeah, Fed's fine. As long as it's above the bottom of this range here, I don't really see any issues with it. Just because it's not ripping out of the gate, you know. GameStop. I mean, GameStop's sitting at its range low. I think AMC looks a bit better than GameStop here, right? Like, you know, they tried to break this thing out of its channel, failed. I wouldn't be interested in GameStop until it actually breaks its channel at this 32.75 region. That's what I would say. I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. There are definitely better stocks to buy than GME right now. I'm currently in this swing trade right now on BTCS. All right. This to me looks like it's going to go crazy. This is going to go bonkers. Wrap Bitcoin, I think, is fine on Pulse Chain. You're talking about Pulse Chain Wrap Bitcoin, right? Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, we saw a pretty major rally out of it, right? It's just been nicely conjecturing through this channel. We just got a bit extended here on the daily, and you know, you can see your 3-day momentum coming down a bit, right? So we could see it wouldn't actually surprise me to see Wrap Bitcoin maybe come back down to this area here. You know, if there's enough sell pressure to push it down, then that would happen. But so currently, right this very moment, all right, this was that trend line. We actually broke it, back tested, tried to rally and failed. Okay. And the daily's coming down, rolling over here a bit, but you can see that your stochastics on the daily are almost resetting. Your 12-hour is still implying more downside. So like the 3-day time frame is what I'm really looking at. And this still kind of ticked up right now, but you can kind of see that there's probably going to be a loss of momentum here if we don't kind of reverse the price action where we're at. 3-day RSI is not overbought, but it's, you know, it's up here, 64s. You know, this thing typically gets completely overbought before you get a major pullback. So, but we could be looking at a major pullback here soon. It could do something like this, or it eventually does something like that. Okay. That's fine. As long as it's making higher lows, I don't really care what this thing is doing. And like the weekly time frame here also looks fine on its momentum. It's just crossing into bullish territory on the MACD. What I was really looking at, and I can't get that data on Dex Screener, is if you look at Wrap Bitcoin on a high time frame, like a monthly, okay, the monthly stochastic RSI is about to cross up, okay, so that's significant. And I think your 3-week ticked up. Okay, so it looks like it's just starting its momentum wave on the high time frame. Your 2 week giving you the buy signal, right? So as a swing trader, if I see that, you're just kind of hodling this thing. You're not doing anything but doing that until momentum looks like it's getting sort of toppy, like it was here in November, December, and you start going outside these Bollingers like that, and your RSI is like above the 70-80 region. Yeah, once it starts doing that, it's time to really exit. And look, you can see your 2 week candle here, nice bullish engulfing. As long as this candle stays active, I think that this is fine, even if it does come down to tag, 475, and I don't think that's out of the question, by the way. I think 475 is potential to get tagged because that's where you broke from, okay? And that's really it, and like the major fib extension targets, your first major fib target here is like the $5,300 region. And like if ETH is going to go to its gold to mean ratio at 12K, then why wouldn't Wrap Bitcoin go to its gold to mean ratio at 23K or 24K? Okay, it's a much lower market cap, and especially if Pulse Chain starts performing, then there's no reason why this asset doesn't do some stuff like that. Okay, especially with the 2 week, the 3 week, and the monthly all swinging up, and the price is here, so it's just starting on those momentum waves, right? Yeah, I think that, and obviously also look at the volume. You can see the volume is receding. So, maybe it's a bit more consolidation here before you start to get these candles out. Okay. And yeah, it's in a parabolic trajectory right now. That's what it's in. So nothing bad to say about it. It actually looks very, very bullish from a high time frame. All right. Cool. That's Wrap Bitcoin. If you don't own any of it, I wouldn't worry about it. But, I think that this is a major opportunity on Pulse Chain for all of those people that don't know what it is. It is Bitcoin that was forked. I think that that's an easy question, man. I think Wrap Bitcoin has way more upside than Solana. Okay. Solana's a lot heavier asset than Wrap Bitcoin. This is you're talking about $100 million market cap coin on Pulse Chain, dude. Versus a several $billion market cap coin. I get it. Solana. I would personally, I just hold your ETH, dude. Don't roll the ETH right now. Hold the ETH. Watch ETH rip out, and then roll it. Then roll it into Wrap Bitcoin, right? Or a lower cap or something, right? Remember, the money should start to flow into ETH, and then the layer ones will run, and then the mid caps run, and then the altcoins run, and then it's every coin that runs, and then it's over. So that's how it goes. The money rotation's just like that. Yeah, if you're rolling assets, like what I would do is I'd roll ETH for Pulse Chain. Okay, if you want to compare apples to apples, then you want to be rolling ETH for another L1, right? I mean, Pulse Chain itself is also in a nice wedge. Okay, take a look at this. You got weekly bullish divergence on Pulse Chain on the RSI on the 2 week. Oh man, yeah, this looks nuts. You got triple. And look at that ever so slight there, and you got that cross up. Yeah, Pulse Chain itself is probably going to do some numbers, man. All right. And if Pulse Chain itself is going to do some numbers, anything that's LP'd to it on Pulse Chain, like Wrap Bitcoin, for example, is going to benefit from that as well. Right? There's 500,000 in liquidity, Wrap Bitcoin and PLS on here. So when Pulse Chain goes, Wrap Bitcoin is going to go. So keep that in mind. There's tons of assets on Pulse Chain. You could just own the underlying asset itself, right? But it is heavier. It's heavier than, Wrap Bitcoin. So there's tons of that. Like even Ink on Pulse Chain looks good. Well, I guess it doesn't look good yet until this breaks, but it looks like it wants to do that. It's trying to start rounding out here, you see. No break just yet on this, though. And the 3-day on ink looks decent. This is probably going to break out here pretty quickly, pretty soon. So yeah, watch for this break. You know, looking at it versus pulse chain, you know, tagging the top of the range here, but that's because ink probably pulled back a little bit harder than pulse, so this came down a bit. But this is clearly a smaller market cap than pulse. Yeah, I mean, this thing is sitting at a 34 RSI against pulse chain. This is probably going to go nuts here soon versus pulse once that breaks. Probably outperforms pulse chain by just to the top of the range is about a 400% move against pulse. Yeah, dude, so roll all your PDI into cores. Do it. How's PDI looking versus pulse chain right now? Probably pulling back because the US dollar value is pulling back, right? How's the monthly look, though? Yeah, dude. I wouldn't roll my PDI into PLS right now. You do that. You do those rolls later, dude. You do those rolls later, man. Is what you do. Nope, I didn't skip it. I covered it. I covered it. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'd rather own PDI over pulse chain right now. But yeah, dude, go ahead and roll your PDI for pulse. I'm not gonna stop you, bro. If you think you're gonna make more money there, then go there. Roll PDI for ink. How's Atropa looking versus pulse? Probably killing it. It's both versus die. Bake. We're gonna look at Bake Swap. You're talking about Bake Swap, right? Bakery token? Oof. I don't know, man. I wouldn't buy this coin. But that's on you. So you broke the range. Okay, I mean, like, you're right at the level. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be looking to buy this one. If you want a good DeFi play, man, like Convex Finance, they've been around. I think they're pretty solid. Like this chart actually looks good. These are monthly candles. Look at the squeeze it's in. This looks a lot better than Bakery Swap. Just saying. I'm not saying that Bakery Swap is bad, but that chart doesn't look the best. This chart actually looks decent. You got a nice floor that they put in right here. They started to make higher lows off this area. This looks decent. You know, I don't own it or anything, but like, you know, maybe even Uniswap probably looks okay. Yeah, Uniswap looks decent. Nice. Yeah, Uniswap here, right? In this range, you know, 1, 2 tests. Your third test, probably your break of range, especially with this monthly crossing up like that. Yeah, man, Uniswap is probably going to do something like this, right? Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see a $45 Uniswap pretty quick. Yeah. Chainlink was looking good, right? We spoke about Chainlink already. It hasn't even done. It's like in its like second wave, so like it looks like something like this. It could do something like that. Yeah, these are blue chips, man. Like Chainlink is a blue chip. Uniswap's a blue chip. This Say blockchain, we gave this call at like what, 20 cents or something. These guys are getting native USDC on chain. This thing could do a major move. Hey, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, man. You're the only one that tips me, by the way, so I really appreciate you, dude. Really, really appreciate you. Yeah, everyone knows about HBAR already. Yeah. I think Say is pretty major because they just got like regulatory approval. They're like one of the only other chains that got regulatory approval like that. So I think that's pretty solid. Yeah. So the HBAR trade setup was given in June of 2019, and the target is $1.74. It's still there. We had some slight deviation here during the that crash or whatever we had, but in general, just following the channel up. Tag the middle of the range here. That was our double top. Boom, boom. Double bottom here. Rally. I think, yeah. $1.75 for HBAR is the target. It's been the target. It's literally circled on the chart from 2 years ago. From 2 years ago. So we took our entry when we took this trade was down here at around 4 cents. And we're just in a hodl bag. That's it. Yep. So, I don't know what else. Oh, SLI. Wow, man. Remember SLI? Yeah, the $1.56 region was called here. I think we ranged around there for a while. We even got some slight deviation out of the channel, but just back in it. And I think it's possible, dude. $56 for SLI long term, dude. I think it's possible. That'd be the top of the channel. Be lit off that. Okay. Energy's going to go wild. Energy's going to go nuts. The energy sector is about to go nuts. It feels like we have like a lot of time left to this run, but we'll see. We could get like a big pause in this. I'm gonna call it a cycle, but we look at M2, we can see M2 is already way up there, right? And so, but Bitcoin's just following it. So as M2 continues higher, I think Bitcoin just goes higher. And then as the markets improve on the business cycle side, that's when you'll start to see these altcoins really start to perform. That's what we got going on. All right. ALB, nice. Yeah, so I think, yep, the U.S. still has to start with printing, so that should really keep your eye. I think when they do start, though, we got about 3 to 6 months to rally, and then they'll probably bring the markets down so they can redeploy. Yeah. So I think that this is something we should really continue to pay attention to, is the Fed balance sheet. And I think if you really follow this, we're going to see this number go up. Fed balance sheet will go up into 2026 like that. But we'll see. We'll see. No signals on this yet, but if you look at like momentum, you could see that this is ticked up. Like they're about to start buying, they're about to start printing and or adding to the balance sheet. I think September, that's when they start doing those rate cuts. That's when they're going to really start printing the money, like pretty evidently, even though they're already probably doing it. Just they're not adding to the balance sheet just yet. So if you look at high time frame on tether dominance, like the 6-month candles, yeah, exactly. So what I'd be really looking for on tether is like these range breaks here. To me, this is just one massive rising wedge. So long term, I think this is just down. Okay. USDC dominance is like a similar chart. USDC might start taking more market share from Tether though, because of Circle, right? So this looks like a cup with handle to the downside. That's what that all points to and alludes to. Yeah, look at the monthly momentum on this. This looks awful. You should be shorting your dollars. Okay. When USDC dominance gets down to the oversold territory, that's going to probably be the top of the market when we get down there, whenever that is. Okay. So if we are going to get a quote unquote super cycle, what'll happen is we'll make this blow off move to like 200, maybe 300K or something. And then what you want to really look at, let's see. I gotta find my other chart. Might be this one. Yeah, okay. So what we really want to be looking at on Bitcoin for the next bear market is that 50-week moving average. So wherever this red line ends up when we top out, right now it's sitting around 50K. Every single time, aside from this past cycle, we did get some range deviation below it, but pretty much every other cycle, the 50-week moving average is the bottom. 50-week moving average is the bottom. Okay, we got some deviation this cycle. So I think we'll probably come somewhere close to that 50-week moving average at the bottom of the bear market. It's not going to deviate too much below. And even if it does deviate below, guess what? They're just giving you a better price. Like if you started buying when Bitcoin was here at 20K, it's not going to matter long term, right? You're buying and holding Bitcoin 22. Let's just say you started buying here at 22K. All right. You're 6x basically right now. That's great. Nothing to complain about that. It's wonderful. So well, that's what we'll be looking for. We'll just be looking around that 50-week moving average. The 50 week? Yeah. At 70K? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're talking about this cross up here. Yeah, 23K, it's fine. This is all fine, man. This is all fine down here. All fine down here. Yeah, you have nothing to worry about. It's most likely never coming back to these levels unless something terrible happens. And even if it does, it'll probably make some crazy recovery after that. It's not going to stay down like that there forever. So that's it. Bottoms are the 50-week moving average, or the whatever that is, the 200-week moving average, excuse me. The simple, yeah, the 200 SMA. So, nope, we're getting into those areas where the further you are off these moving averages, the more you want to be taking profit, right? So, it's getting there. It's definitely getting there. With these altcoins, no. I mean, I would stick to the DEXs, man, like Radium. Radium's probably still solid here, right? This asset does the most between Radium and Jupiter. I think these two do the most DEX volume for Solana. And if you want to go like, more degen than that, then like you look at something like a Drift protocol. Okay, this is like a lower market cap coin. Aren't they on? I feel like they were on Coinbase. Oh yeah, they are. Okay. Yeah, so like Drift. Actually, this is probably a really good entry for Drift right here. All right. They do like vaults and they've got like hedgies on there and stuff that are running funds and stuff. So like this protocol captures all that value. I think this is probably a really nice trade setup right here. If this breaks, it's most likely going back up to $3 and maybe even into further price discovery, right? Could do something crazy. And they're not even in an alt season yet. So yeah, looks pretty good down here actually on the weekly. Look at it, right at the range low, weekly bullish divergence. That looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, Drift. So the way I look at it is you want to be buying assets that are generating revenue. Yeah, they're perpetual futures, and so they offer futures market, and they have vaults too, like where you can stake your Drift or whatever. I probably wouldn't stake stuff right now personally, but you can earn, borrow, and lending, right? Like stuff like this. It's a DeFi protocol. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. This one always kind of stuck out to me for Solana asset. All right. Anything else you guys want to look at? We got, I got some time tonight. Maybe you guys want to look at some more stocks or something. I was looking at this stock yesterday or whatever. eBang International Holdings. This thing looks nuts. Monthly double bottom. Okay. The monthly chart looks pretty insane. Like very oversold, stochastic RSI. All right, Toe, man, have a good night. Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, so this one's on my watch list here. I think this is probably, oh man, yeah, the 3-day looks insane on this thing. This is probably in the territory of where you want to be swing trading this stuff. Okay, yeah, major top swing trade range is like $16. Who knows though? This thing could probably do some crazy stuff. Do some nice volume. It's in the computer processing hardware side of things, so they might be involved with AI. And this chart is telling you some things, right? This looks pretty nuts. I like this chart a lot, actually. Weekly squeeze. Looks juicy. Another one I was looking at was, I wasn't really looking at that one, though. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Flap was asking about space. I think space maybe just put a double bottom in, all right? Yeah, bullish engulfing candle. High or low. This stock is wrecked city. I personally wouldn't buy this one, but yeah, it's low risk down here. It's got a lot of upside potential. All right. You could be looking at a monthly momentum swing up on it. Yeah. Buy signal coming in there. Looks good. And if the Russell's going to go, this is a low cap aerospace and defense stock. Yeah, this thing could run. So there's lots of opportunities on the board, guys. I can't cover them all. I'm definitely not going to be trading them all. But as I see them, I'll post stuff, and you guys can, pick and choose what you like and go from there. I think so far, so good. You guys are doing most of you guys are doing pretty well, I would assume. I see cups everywhere. Careful, man. They could be A cups, dude. You want those double D's, bro. Yeah. 140K is the target, dude. All right, fib extension. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty much it. All right, guys. Y'all have a nice evening, and catch you guys next week. I'm gonna try to maybe bang some more content out. We'll see. Let me know what you guys want. I'll post some content. We'll hit some stuff out. All right. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Wild man, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. You're the only one that tips me on this channel. I appreciate that. And we'll catch you guys next week.